come back to Jong again. Do you think that when you write your stories, your characters, you have a fixity of the person, a fixation on just one emotion or one characteristic or one quality, or it's a rolling convolution of a mixture of many things? Just brief.
Briefly, just to say, we are all psychopath persons. Everybody in his own way. We don't admire, you know. When I start to write, when I writing, I came, as I said before, from difficult period, tragical period. It was because terrorism, fundamentalism. I think literature is one way to survive from religion. That is why when I see all religion in the world, they have something similar. That is one God. Okay, and down. I want in literature to be more free. That means there is no God. Everybody is God. That is why I am against of novel or literature of one voice. I am more in polyphonic novel because one voice that reminds me religion. I want to read literature.
So we heard that what Syed has said, polyphonic novels having a number of characters, and even the character himself has several characters within herself or himself. Now, John, we go back to you. I'm speaking a bit rapidly because we have to throw the session over to the audience. I am very deeply affected by metaphors. METAPHORS, metaphors. They say a person who uses metaphors aptly is basically a poet at heart, is basically a person who's a verse, who's delved into prose. So, and having gone through your books, I took the trouble of, if you'll allow me just 2 minutes to read out some of the metaphors that she has used in her books. There is this one, Yu Jeong, which left me very, I kept thinking about it, mulling over it, and feeling good about it. This one goes like this. I'll just quote 3. The expression on her face was like a difficult chess puzzle. The expression on her face was like a difficult chess puzzle. Number 2, the last question hit him like a golf club to the head. Third, the sunlight was like shattered glass, dazzling, yet cold and dangerous. And this is just 3. The 2 books are replete with metaphors, and they sang into my soul. Sir, about the style part I was talking about, if at all I'm correct, I'm not much into this, but I thought it could have formed a part of your style, in as much as Vasundhara's style, it's very direct. Style, of course I have not read it, but I've got some patches of his which I'll quickly read, maybe if we do get time. But please give us a brief take on, do these come, do these come naturally to you, or you have to mull over these metaphors, or how do you go about it, gathering metaphors?
열심히 생각합니다. 생각이 안 나면 머리를 보는 찌어요.
So when she can't think of metaphor, she hits her head on a wall.
그래도 생각이 안 나면 술을 마십니다.
So when she can't think of metaphor, she hits her head on a wall. If that still doesn't work, then she drinks alcohol.
마지막으로 그래도 생각이 안 난다. 그러면 잠을 자요. 열심히 막 하다가 자고 일어나면 머릿속에서 뭔가 반짝할 때가 있습니다.
So if drinking alcohol also doesn't work, then she just sleeps for a long time. And once she wakes up, there is something shining at the back of her head.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's great. Yeah. I think she deserves a clap for that. Vasundhara, I wanted to read out just a short paragraphs from each of the writers, including Krishna sir. But I think we have just about 50 to 20 minutes left. It will not be fair on my part to keep on talking this way. But just 2 quick questions to the two of you, to Syed and to you. Syed, you have, for example, I'm reading this out 3 lines deliberately to establish his, the mode, but the way he presents his written words. There's one character called Achor, pronounced Achor, A-C-H-O-U. He's one of the characters in Sahara, the end of the Sahara. And I quote, "If I hadn't plunged the knife into my cousin's shoulder, I wouldn't have been saved from death and lived to tell my tale, which began that morning when the heat started to scorch my bald spot and I became angry at people who made me leave the village." So that's a sample, just one sentence, a sample of his writing. Vasundhara has a sample too. She's got quick, short sentences. Vasundhara's book, The Accused, so there's this character called D. Thankfully, I hope it's not Dhruva. There's this mysterious character called D, just one simple letter, and I was very scared that it would have been me. I told her that, I said, Vasundhara, was it me that you thought of? Lucky she hadn't met me then. D had handled their situation better than Sanjay to stop. She laughed out loudly, stop. Sanjay had not wanted to spend a penny on our show, stop. Now he had no choice, did he? So, we'll come here again. Syed, of course, I read out Young's, I said about metaphor, Searle's, about the grace and elegance of his style, and now, please, ladies and gentlemen, we have about 15 minutes left, 5 to 6 questions. We have something going from you, and if we have enough time, I'll come back again to Sir and the other stalwarts here. Please, microphone to them. Any questions? Yeah, you're looking at me very mysteriously.
I have a very fundamental question, very, very fundamental. What is the driving force behind writing murder mystery? Definitely, sir.
What is it driving? Sir, he thinks that we murder.
Well, honestly, as you know, the driving force, these are difficult questions. It's talking about creation, and it's always very difficult answering questions about creation. To be frank, I start with the plot, and I start with the fatality, the murder, whatever it is, the crime, because not all my stories about people who die. So I start with the plot, and I see where that takes me as far as the characters are concerned. So it's very difficult to say what motivates all this. You know, I mean, others would have different views. We're all very different in our approach. People may begin with characters and then come to a plot. I do it the other way around. And I spend a lot of time thinking about the plot. And my writing of the story becomes very easy. I normally write quite fast, but I've thought a lot about it already. So I'm very sorry, you pinned me down on a question that I really can't answer. Maybe others have a better view on these things.
My reason is neither deep nor philosophical. It is as solid as and as simple as my book. During COVID, I obviously couldn't act because a single shooting unit has between 100 to 500 people, and it is not safe to act. There were bans all around. So I took a brief stint as a graphic designer in a corporate job, and that drove me to murder. single-handedly. I think for somebody who's creative, sitting in one place, not being able to move around, not being able to do the kind of things that you're used to doing, not being able to get out and enjoy nature, having to wear a mask and stifle yourself, which I followed diligently, but that kind of put me in a very negative space, and I started ruminating. And I will not say which character is named after my ex-boss, but there is one. And yeah, so for me, it was a very personal experience of having to go through corporate life as somebody who doesn't fit in well.
Okay. To love, passion. I can make for you is different country actually. I will be brave. When I was child, I was poor. But I read a lot. And my first job in Algeria I got when I was in high school. My colleagues came to me to ask me to write a love letter for his girlfriend and then girlfriend to boyfriend. That is my first job, and I write love letters, and they send to their and this girlfriend that doesn't know that is me who writes. She thinks that it's boyfriend. I got money from the first time. So I discovered that love and literature can make money also, okay? It will not be still always, because we have one picture that writer is poor. Now, I don't want to be poor. I want to be a writer, I want to success, and I will be rich, why not?
Very honest about you. Eugene, what about you? What is your driving force? You don't have that? Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, for example, I'm standing and talking here. Yu was a nurse, then they shifted to being a writer. Then, because how did she become a writer? What's the driving force for her to be a writer?
저는 어려서부터 작가가 꿈이었고요. 가정환경상 제가 간호사 일을 했지만 언젠가는 작가가 되어야겠다고 생각을 했고, 그리고 한국은 인도나에게 달리 시험을 봐야 돼요. 작가가 되면 그 테스트를 통과해야 됩니다. 거의 1000대1, 몇천 대 1의 이 경쟁률을 뚫고 통과를 해야 돼요. 그래서 어려서부터 저는 작가가 되고 싶었고, 그걸 통과하기 위해서 6년 동안 습작을 했습니다.
So it was her dream to be an author since she was a child, and because of her family's financial situation, she had no option but to work as a nurse. But that was not something she chose to do, but something she had to do. And unlike India, in Korea, you have to pass a test to become an author, like to become a writer, you have to pass an exam. And so she studied for that exam for 6 years and passed that exam, and it has like a passing rate of like 1,000 to 1.
저는 힘있고 의미 있고 아름다운 이야기를 쓰고 싶은 것이지 머더 미스터리를 쓰고 싶다, 이게 딱 머더 미스터리만 쓰고 싶다 그게 아니에요. 원래 미스터리의 궁극적인 목적은 범인 찾기이지만 제 소설은 스릴러거든요. 스릴러의 궁극적인 목적은 생존이에요. 살아남기.
So she just wanted to write beautiful things, intriguing things, and things that will amaze people. And she never had a goal to write murder mysteries, and most of her books are thrillers. And the goal of a thriller is that the character has to survive. He just has to survive.
She talks about Stephen King and William Faulkner being two of her favorite writers, but these two writers, in many ways, despite concentrating on the human condition, have different angles to the writing. So how did she fuse the two? Stephen King on the one side. I'm a fan of Stephen King. I've read his book on writing too, The Green Mile, the whole lot, and Faulkner, William Faulkner. So just briefly again, because I'll come back to that in the rest. How did she fuse the two novelists?
이야기하는 방식, 이야기를 소설을 풀어나가는 방식, 그 다음에 문체, 짧게 쓴다, 필요한 것만 쓴다, 필요 없는 것을 쓰지 않는다. 그 사람은 그렇게 말하거든요. 나도 그렇게 배웠고. 그래서 이야기하는 방법, 서스펜스를 만드는 방법, 그 다음에 글을 아주 간결하고 선명하게 쓰는 방법, 분명하게 쓰는 방법, 그런 것들을 배웠습니다.
So these authors, they write very clearly. They do not write things that are not required, and their language is very strong. It comes across as very strong, and that is something that she loved from these authors. That they write very to the point. You know, you are not beating around the bush, and yet they make it very atmospheric. So that is something that she really liked, and that is something that she incorporates in her.
Yes, so just a sec, Guru from Sikkim wants a question. Yeah, Guru here.
Sorry, I got a little late. I was waiting for that interval. Anyway, I think this question I have is more for Vasundhara and also in reference to Mr. Krishna Srinivasan, what you said. No, I'm not asking a question. What you said. Earlier, because you also seen Bollywood, I think, those quarters. Earlier the characters were very black and white, very wooden. You know, you have the Marvel comic kind of characters, either you're good or evil. But then what Mr. Srinivasan has brought into the discourse today is a person has a lot of complex characters within himself. And you see, even in that film, Gangs of Wasseypur, you have the anti-hero who's, who's murderous, but with his wife, he's almost like a little kid, his wife beating him, and I thought that brought a lot of complex character to the storytelling. And yeah, so, sorry, I was going off. So, what you feel in Bollywood now, the new crop of writers who are coming up, are they making much more complex characters or typical those Bollywood characters, especially in the OTT platforms?
Yeah. I meant it specifically, what my disagreements was very specifically on a diagnostic space. I feel like everybody is shades of grey, and I think Southern cinema, Tamil cinema, Malayalam cinema has been writing deep, complex characters for far longer than Bollywood has. And having come from the Southern field, I do have experience with, for example, there's a film called Sigapuro Jakar by Kamal Haasan, which I think everybody must watch. It is a very deeply complicated movie that is way ahead of its time. And I think older Tamil cinema would eat up that space. I am extremely enthusiastic about the new authors, the new writers who are coming, and I'm really glad that the whole iska bacha thing is not working anymore in Bollywood, and we're actually giving an opportunity to talent and deep complex thinking. However, I do feel like a lot of people are getting a little exhausted with using the grey matter, and that we're getting a lot of commercial films that are very one-dimensional. But I think the negative response towards those films does say that people are complicated. Everybody is complicated. There is no black and white. Everybody in the world is complicated. You do not know how anybody is going to react in any situation, and we do not want to be judged by our latest mistake or our worst day. That's not how we want to be portrayed. But when I use the word psychopath, we use it very casually. But I think I was mentioning that when it comes to, since she has studied psychology and I am studying psychology, I would use the word psychopath in a very diagnostic way and not in a literal fashion when it comes to character descriptions. In real life, though, there are a lot of people.
Sir?
I have a question for Ambassador Srinivasan. And you had mentioned that your plot comes first and then you weave characters around that plot. My question is that how has your long and distinguished career as a diplomat influenced this whole process that you laid out before us?
Well, I think I've got to make a confession that frankly I came to writing fiction much after, as I think Duilf mentioned right at the beginning, after I'd written quite a few non-fiction things. And in many respects, when I left the government service, it was much easier for me to write non-fiction things because I was writing about international politics. And I've written more books, I've published more books on non-fiction than I have fiction, even now. So I've got a lot of catching up to do. The reason that I started writing fiction, to be honest, was it's much easier than writing non-fiction. Writing non-fiction is a real pain because you've got to have your references right, you've got to have your quotations right, your index properly, your list of acronyms. It's a huge, huge task. Apart from what you have to say, which is something quite different, and hopefully, you're not plowing the same furrow as somebody else. So I found that turning to fiction, and particularly with this leading character that I had in mind, was a breeze compared to writing non-fiction. So in that respect, certainly, I found that thinking and evolving a plot, whatever it is, I think was much easier than analyzing international relations. But I do spend too much time on the plot, I do agree. I think that maybe other people approach this entirely differently. To me, the characters are much less important than the story. So I really start with the story. And then the characters are kind of ready-made. Because as I say, each author, all of us, we're in love with our characters. So to put the characters into a plot is a very easy thing. So I basically, my way of writing, which is not anything to emulate for others, is firstly, fiction is easy. Secondly, the plot is difficult. Once the plot is formulated, writing is easy.
You have a question? Yeah. I'll just make one, I think as a moderator and the chair of this session, I'll take liberty, and it's a very unusual liberty from the audience and also from the honorable panelists here. Vasundhara has a panel in the next hall. So Vasundhara, for the next 5 minutes to 7, we'll carry on because I have a last question for Atibi. Would you mind very much? We shake hands here and meet later on. And audience, will you permit? Will you allow her to leave the hall and we carry on for the next 5 minutes? Okay now? Take it. So, could you escort? Hello. Could you take ma'am? You want a picture? Okay, then. Take a picture, please. In the meantime, I'll keep on talking. I'll keep on. Yeah, take a picture. Yeah. Yeah, while the picture is being taken, I'd just like to ask anybody else out here, you have a question? You have a question. Could you please come over here? Yeah, we can keep on talking. Vasundhara?
Sir, shall I continue? Okay, so a very warm evening to all of you, and I'm very much blessed and delighted that I have been in presence with all of you. So my question is that being an amateur reader, I have just started reading like 1.5 or 2 years back. So while I was attending the session, and at the very first moment, Dhruva sir has mentioned that today in the morning he felt that he was a narcissist. Then again, if I am not mispronouncing your name, ma'am, Chong, she had said that all the characters are not a single one. It is a composite character, and also Srinivasan sir, you have said that. So my question is that while reading a mystery book or while going through the pages of a murder mystery, what happens as a reader is that we might get misguided. Sometimes it happens that darkness usually follows up very much easily, right, sir? So in that scenario, while writing or while cruising through the words to drag a story, how do you keep your mind in a good position, or how you don't allow to darken your mind? And also I would like to take an advice from all of you, or might be from Krishna sir, that while reading those books, how as a reader we should make sure, how can we make sure that we segregate ourselves to not cross the borderline? Thank you, sir.
Good question. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. But I will disappoint you maybe. Why? 99% of detective novels, crime novels, the target or the goal is not to know who killed who. That is not interesting. Because if you want to know who killed who, you can write it in one page or 2 pages and finish. The point of crime novel today, or the novel today, this century, is to expand the space of freedom. Because when you write crime novel, you have to talk about politics, sociology, psychology. You know, a lot of genre in one novel. That is what it means. As a reader or as a writer, when we face crime novel or detective novel, the target is not who killed who, but the challenge, how much freedom is available in this novel. Sometimes they ask me in our world a specific situation, because I said before, the beginning of detective novel started in 1001 Nights, and this Arabic novel, but we don't have crime novel in Arab world, in Arab literature. Why? That is a good question. Why we don't have authors? Because we have some novels in the past, but crime novel needs freedom. We are not free. We have censorship. We have a lot of censorship about religion, about politics, everything. For me, crime novel, detective novel, the challenge of the point is to give more freedom of imagination. If we read novel just to know who killed who, we lost time. We waste time. But if we read to expand, to give more freedom of imagination, that is my point. I think.
We have a last question. I think you. Well answered.
Good afternoon, all the dignitaries. So my question is to all of you, even including Dhruva Hazarika sir, that when you all write, while writing, we know how, be it crime thrillers or be it murder mysteries, at points they get grotesque or gross, like not being able, the darkness increases. So have you all ever felt that while writing, it has got so dark or so mysterious, or the things have got so grotesque that you have felt like leaving it and what am I doing and why am I writing this? Have you all ever went through that feeling?
Yeah, I think I'll ask Yu Jeong, because in one of her statements, Yu Jeong had said that after writing she has to detox herself. Am I right? She said in one of her interviews, if I recollect, I'm not comparing my notes now, she said she has to go off for 6 months or 5 months and get rid of the character that she has built up. So, do you at some point of time feel that you can go this much and hope further in creating the character or developing the plot? Right, ma'am? Is that the question? One second. See, I didn't say that. I think I misinterpreted her. Yeah.
I meant that why when it gets so dark that you feel like I want to leave it. Why am I writing this?
Yeah.
네, 여러 번 있죠. 그러니까 굿선이라는 소설에서 아들이 이제 엄마를 칼로 베어서 죽이는데 목을 그어서 자기가 죽인 거를 기억하지 못해요. 그 기억을 살리기 위해서 엄마를 죽이고 목에다 다시 칼을 넣어보거든요. 감각이 익숙한지 그걸 놓고 이것까지 써야 되나 했다가 또 아니야 이거를 사이코패스면 이걸 해야 돼 그걸 한 3번 정도 했던 그런 경험이 있습니다.
So she has had these thoughts. So when she was writing The Good Son, there is one part in which the son kills his mother and he stabs his mother and he forgets that he has stabbed his mother. So to relive and also to reconfirm that he has killed his mother, he stabs her in the same spot once again and he's like, okay, yes, I have. So when she was writing this part, she thought to herself, do I have to go this far? Do I have to write this much? But then her second thought was, no, but he is a psychopath. So this has to be done. So yes, this.
Okay then. Any more questions? No, it's been past our schedule. Thank you so much for being patient listeners and for also allowing me my space in this August, to be among the August writers here. Srini sir, Krishnan sir, thank you ever so much. Thank you for being here. I mean, again, please, he's an icon for me, not only as a former civil servant, but for the writer that he is. Thank you so much. He's written a book called The Kolkata Crimes. That's supposed to, it's already out. And I haven't yet read it, so that's next on my anvil. Apsara, just one more minute. You, Jong, thank you for coming all the way from Korea. You are a cult writer. And you have been, I wanted to ask you and Syed about translations, about you have he's a translator himself, he translates from and to Arabic and French. He's in Slovenia, he's a multinational character. He's probably a novel all by himself, but I didn't get time. And I was just telling him, each of us, we actually needed 1 or 2 hours each of us. So to you, thank you very much for bringing Korea to Dibrugarh to this session. And after reading your book, I also wanted to go on a killing spree. And it's because of the laws of the land that I stopped. I was that influenced. I'm being slightly hyperbolic, but just to tell you how much I appreciated the story that you wrote, and Krishnan has agreed with me. To hear Syed, I have not read any of his books, but the extracts I got, the chapters, The End of the Sahara, that novel, not the others, I haven't. But I was struck by the fact that he has this sense of this incredible variety to take in characters. Those multi-characters which we had talked about in the beginning, what Krishnan had said, that we are just not the same person during the whole day, we are many persons. And that reminds me of a slight aside, which I would like to tell you, why we are not the same. Many years back, I was with an actor called Tom Alter. He stayed with me in my quarters back in the hills. He loves playing football. So one of his fans came up to him and said, Apsara, Stephen, Walter, what's your height? And he said, he looked at the child and he said, you are my morning height or my evening height? So we all looked at him. I mean, what is he talking about? Pankaj? So it appears that, when you get up in the morning, your spine is very straight. You're sleeping the whole night through for 6-7 hours and it's as straight as a cricket bat. So you're very tall. By the time I reach my speech, by 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, you're all tired. And you slouch. So in the evening, your height is an inch lower than in the morning. That's physically. So emotionally too, temperamentally, otherwise too, we are not the same person the whole day. That's a lovely insight, sir. Thank you so much for that, Krishna. Syed, thank you for coming all the way, being with us, sharing your experiences. Although this is, again, I repeat, not sufficient at all. And I'm not a salesman, nor am I promoting anyone, but please do read their books. They're worth it. I've gone through the reviews, his, Yong's, and Sir's, of course, I've read. And this is what we are here for you to read. And we have some wonderful publishers here, Ravi and Santan and the others. So to all of you, to all the writers, authors, thank you once again. So thank you very much for being patient with us. God bless.
Thank you, sir. As we conclude this briefing session, we are reminded that detective fiction is not just about solving crimes. It's about understanding motives, unraveling truths, and confronting the ambiguities of human nature. My heartfelt gratitude to our moderator, whose thoughtful questions and nuanced insights steered this conversation with, if I may use this word at all, sir, elegance and intellectual depth. My sincere thanks to our distinguished panelists. For sharing with us their scholarship, storytelling mastery, and unique perspectives. Each of you has reminded us that crime fiction is not merely about solving puzzles. It is about revealing truths, social, psychological, and deeply human. Please join me in appreciating all of our distinguished panelists for their rich and thought-provoking dialogue with a warm round of applause, please. I would also like to acknowledge our reputees Sikha and Dikshita for documenting this session. I extend my gratitude to the hall coordinators, volunteers, technical team, whose quiet efficiency ensures that such vibrant discussions are preserved and made possible. To our distinguished dignitaries of the days, thank you for your gracious presence and adding value to the session, along with the respected faculty members, scholars, students. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. With this, I sign